Last Saturday, former President Donald Trump said he found out through leaks from the Justice Department and the Manhattan District Attorney's Office that he was going to be arrested on Tuesday. Potential arrest is over Trump's lawyer, Michael Cohen, allegedly paying adult film star Stormy Daniels $130,000 to remain silent about an alleged affair she may have had with Donald Trump in 2006. None of this is illegal, but when Trump repaid Cohen, he allegedly wrote that it was for legal fees, which would be a misdemeanor offense in New York for falsifying business records. A case could also be made for this breaking election law, since the motive was to keep voters from finding out about his alleged affair. This would be a felony. If convicted of the misdemeanor, Trump would have to pay a fine. If convicted of the felony, Trump would face up to 4 years in prison, although that would be difficult to prove. So, how did Trump react to this? He calmly said it was all just a big misunderstanding and offered to settle it over some chamomile tea and scones. Just kidding. He wrote on Truth Social, the far and away leading Republican candidate and former President of the United States will be arrested on Tuesday next week, meaning this past week, May 21st. Protest! Take our nation back. Meanwhile, his lawyers working to defend him on the January 6th Capitol allegations were like, we're trying to prove you didn't cause protests and you're telling people to protest? Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg has faced criticism from liberals and conservatives. Liberals criticized him last year after he declined to prosecute Trump for financial crimes, saying the case against him wasn't strong enough. And conservatives have criticized him for allegedly having his campaign funded by George Soros. George Soros is a billionaire who donates tens of millions of dollars to Democrats. So several Republicans are saying this indictment is politically motivated. Here's what Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said.
If you have a prosecutor who is ignoring crimes happening every single day in his jurisdiction, and he chooses to go back many, many years ago to try to use something about porn star hush money payments, that's an example of pursuing a political agenda and weaponizing the office.
Follow the white rabbit.
Many Republicans talk about George Soros like he's the Emperor Palpatine of the Democratic Party. Every time something big happens and they need a big bad to blame, somehow Soros returned.
That has come up is once you do have a vaccine, how do you properly distribute it? So how do you get it out quickly to
Well, when we have the vaccine, we have the military all lined up, and the military is going to be doing it in a very powerful manner. These are people that don't usually do vaccines. They do soldiers, and they do lots of other things that frankly are more difficult. But we have our general, and logistically he's all set.
So, did Alvin Bragg's campaign really get a $1 million campaign donation from George Soros? Not exactly. George Soros has never donated directly to Bragg's campaign, although his son and his son's wife did donate $20,000 total to Bragg. So where did Republicans get the $1 million number from? It's because back in 2021, Soros donated $1 million to Color of Change PAC, a racial justice organization. Color of Change PAC had also endorsed Alvin Bragg for DA and pledged to spend $1 million to get him elected. In the end, they only spent about $500,000 to back Bragg. So is there an indirect link to George Soros? Yes. Is it one that fits neatly into a headline? No. The New York Police Department assembled 700 riot cops and erected steel barricades around the Manhattan Criminal Courthouse Monday night, in preparation for potential chaos that could ensue should Trump be indicted. However, that may not have been necessary, given most Trump supporters didn't heed his call to protest and take the nation back. I've seen more people show up to rehearsal dinners for a fourth wedding. Considering how people are still being charged for the January 6th protests, it makes sense folks aren't really willing to risk getting locked up for Trump again. It's also kind of the same old story. On Monday night, Trump put out this video where he claimed this was all a witch hunt.
Whether it's the Mar-a-Lago raid or the Unselect Committee hoax, the perfect Georgia phone call, it was absolutely perfect, or the Stormy Horseface Daniels extortion plot, they're all sick, and it's fake news.
Witch hunt? Fake news? Saying something is perfect and repeating himself. Is Trump facing an indictment, or is he putting out a greatest hits album? Ooh, I hope it also has Rocket Man and no collusion on it. Plus, it's hard to find the motivation to protest when Trump himself said even if he's arrested, he'll still run for president in 2024. And convicted felons aren't actually barred from running for or holding office. Which means, hypothetically, Congress could be full of a bunch of immoral lawbreakers who only care about benefiting themselves at whatever cost. Glad that's not the case, though, right?
Follow the white rabbit.
Former President Trump revealed his plan to dismantle what he calls the deep state yesterday. It's part of his Agenda 47 for 2024. Meanwhile, demonstrators, both in support of and against him, took to the streets. NTD's Jeremy Sandberg has more on Trump's 10-point plan.
Follow the white rabbit.
They're all sick, and it's fake news.
Trump vowed to aggressively remove rogue bureaucrats, uproot corrupt actors in the national security sector, and rework FISA courts if elected in 2024. He plans to create a Truth and Reconciliation Commission
To declassify and publish all documents on deep state spying, censorship, and corruption.
He's promising to crack down on government leakers that he says collude with media to create false narratives, and says he will ask Congress to create an independent auditing system to monitor intelligence agencies to make sure they're not running disinformation campaigns or spying on citizens. He's also proposing term limits for members of Congress.
This is how I will shatter the deep state and restore government that is controlled by the people and for the people.
Follow the white rabbit.
That'd be so different from how things are now. So, Tuesday came and went, and nothing happened. Then on Wednesday, the grand jury proceedings were canceled for the day. This was, according to some reports, due to dissension within the DA's office over whether or not the case was strong enough to bring charges over. At the time of this recording on Friday, charges still haven't been brought against Trump. So after all that hype, nothing happened? This is like when everyone said the Joker movie was going to lead to a bunch of mass shootings. All it actually did was lead to a lot of bad Halloween costumes and people falling while dancing on stairs. Since Trump is still eligible to run for president, Elon Musk and many others, including some Democrats, predict this indictment, if it happens, could be seen as purely political, backfire, and gain Trump more support leading to next year's election. Which isn't that crazy. Every time Democrats tried striking Trump down, it just made him more powerful than they could imagine. Huh. If George Soros is Emperor Palpatine, does that make Donald Trump Obi-Wan Kenobi? I don't know, but I'm sure we can all at least agree that Mitch McConnell is boss nass.
At the World Government Summit, Elon Musk said that having a single world government could lead to the end of the entire human civilization. The World Government Summit, by the way, is an annual meeting where heads of state and leaders from various fields gather to discuss governance and business. Musk wasn't asked about this specifically, but he brought it up himself.
Civilizations have risen and fallen, but it hasn't meant the doom of humanity as a whole, because there've been all these separate civilizations that were separated by great distances. And so, say like while Rome was falling, Islam was rising. We want to be a little bit cautious about being too much of a single civilization, because if we are too much of a single civilization, then if the whole thing may collapse.
Musk said different world governments need to be wary of cooperating too much, because if something goes wrong with one part of civilization, the whole thing could collapse.
תראה, אילון מאסק הוא בן אדם באמת ששואף לשנות את איך שאנחנו תופסים את המציאות ואיך שהאנושות הולכת להתנהל בעשורים הקרובים. זה שבב קטן שנקרא N1 שהולך להתממשק, ממש להתחבר לתוך מוח של בן אדם, כרגע זה על קוף ועל חזירים, ובעצם גם להזריק נתונים לתוך המוח שלנו וגם לאגור נתונים מתוך המוח שלנו ולאבד אותם. משהו חוזר...
Follow the white rabbit.
כלומר, ממש כמו דיסק און קי, שיהיה לי בתוך הראש.
בדיוק, כמו לחבר דיסק און קי ולהוריד מידע מתוך המוח, או להטעין מידע לתוך המוח, ולשדר לנו, לדוגמה, סרט של נטפליקס, על אתה יודע, מול העיניים, בלי שנצטרך אפילו לצאת מהבית או להדליק את הטלוויזיה. זה יאפשר לנו לצאת לטיול באיביזה, בלי, כאמור, לקום מהקורסה או לצאת מהבית, רק מכיוון שהשבב הזה יכול לשדר לנו את אותם זיכרונות או מראות ישר לתוך המוח.
כלומר, יש כאן ממש התקדמות מדעית, אם הוא כבר רוצה לעבור לבני אדם?
בהחלט, בהחלט. קודם כל, הקהילה המדעית מאוד מאוד שמחה מההתקדמות הזאת, מכיוון שקודם כל, השבב הזה, כמו שאתם יכולים לראות, הוא ויירלס לגמרי, הוא מתחבר בבלוטות' למוח, ובעצם זה לא משאיר צמה כזאת של חוטים שמסתרכת מאחורי הבן אדם שהולך להתחבר לשבב הזה.
השאלה, דוקטור פריד, האם באמת יש לזה סיכוי, אתה יודע, אתה רואה את זה באמת קורה, או ששוב אילון מאסק קצת נסחף עם הוויז'ן שלו?
אז תראה, כמו שאמרת, באמת אילון מאסק הוא בן אדם שמאוד מדבר ויז'ן, והרבה פעמים זה לא בדיוק פוגש את המציאות. אבל יחד עם זאת, תראה, אני אומר לך, בתור מנכ"ל של חברת סטארט-אפ רפואית עם בינה מלאכותית, הטכנולוגיה נמצאת שם. הטכנולוגיה מחר יכולה להיות כבר מותקנת על מוחות של בני אדם ולהתחבר להם למוח, וכמו שאמרתי, לשדר להם סרטים מול העיניים או לאגור את הזיכרונות לתוך איזה דיסק און קי.
Follow the white rabbit.
מה שעומד בפרץ, מה שעומד בינינו לבין העתיד הזה, זה לא הטכנולוגיה. מה שעומד שם זה דווקא ה-FDA. אוקיי, זה הגוף, הרשויות האמריקאיות בארצות הברית.
כלומר, אתה אומר שיום אחד, אולי לא עוד שנה, אבל אולי עוד עשור או שניים, יום אחד נוכל לשים שתל במוחשב בתוך מוח של בני אדם?
בדיוק, ואנחנו נוכל להתחבר לזיכרונות שאנחנו כבר שכחנו, או להיות בטיולים במקומות שמעולם לא היינו ולא נוכל להיות, ולגרום לעיוורים לראות ולנכים ללכת שוב.
טוב, זה באמת נשמע מדהים ומרתק.
Follow the white rabbit.
As his plan for replacing cash, checks, and credit cards with new personalized 666 barcode system were implemented, peace and order began to be re-established. Now, in tonight's program, our great world leader unveils stage 2 of his plan for the perfect world. The amazing new 666 biochip implant, guaranteeing you physical health and spiritual well-being at the punch of a computer key, plus the guarantee of lifelong security within the new 666 world order.
Watch out for 666. Watch out for 666.
In a vision of the future, I saw in a vivid dream that the hour is soon coming when men will become machines. A new one world order will rise and then demand that all the world's people receive their scientific brand. I saw a tiny free program, computer chips so thin, implanted in men's foreheads, underneath their skin, linking all its bearers to the system's central brain. The master computer that over them will reign.
Watch out for 666 and their computer chip that is designed to strip you on your self-control. Don't sell your soul.
Men's thoughts will be programmed by this new technology. Those who take the number, their slaves will always be. So hearken to this warning, if it's life and love you choose,
Then you'll follow the truth, and that mark you will refuse.
אנחנו? שמעת על המאפיה? זה אנחנו. איך קוראים לך? נעים מאוד, ששון המחסל.
מחסל?
הבהלת אותי.